Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast, brought to you by East Central Educational Service Center, located in Newcastle, Indiana. We proudly provide service support and collaboration to 14 counties and 39 member districts.
At ECESC, we believe that students' strengths and interests are a blueprint to forging a future of success and impact, and we are on a journey to provide support and collaboration to schools as they implement career-connected learning for all students.
As part of this mission, we are here today to celebrate the amazing educators who help the students of East Central Indiana dream big dreams and achieve more than they thought possible.
Their work inspires us each day, and we want to lift up their stories and the stories of the students they are impacting and serving. Welcome to the Forge Your Future podcast. My name is Pat Haney, director here at East Central Educational Service Center, and co-hosting with me today is Lindsay Lovern, our grant coordinator and instructional specialist here at ECESC. Hi, Lindsay. How are you today?
Hey, Pat. Doing good. Glad to be here.
Well, thank you for being here as always. And today we are joined by Superintendent of Shelbyville Central Schools, Dr. Matt Vance, and also by the high school principal at Shelbyville Central, Amy Dawson. So Amy and Matt, thank you for both being with us today to share about your district.
Pleasure to be here.
Good morning.
Okay. All right, well, let's dive right in. Let's start with just some information about Shelbyville Central Schools. Give us a little bit of background. Tell us what your district's all about. Where can we find you? Who are your students and families?
Shelbyville Central Schools is located in Shelby County. We're the county seat. Our current student enrollment is 3,575. Like I said, we have an outstanding school community here, one with a lot of pride and passion for our schools. We feel like our schools really are the focal point of our community. We have an outstanding relationship with the city of Shelbyville and Shelby County as a whole. So we have a lot of very positive relationships in our entire school community. Our school makeup, we have 3 elementary schools: Colston Elementary, Loper Elementary, and Hendricks Elementary. We have 1 middle school, Shelbyville Middle School, and then 1 high school, Shelbyville High School. We also have a preschool. We have kind of an interesting situation here. The office we're in today recording from is central office, but our central office is divided. On one side is our central office, on the other side is our preschool. And an interesting fact about our building that we're in, it used to be a Marsh supermarket. And Pat, I remember you came and visited one day and I told you that story. And I think that's a very good thing that the school did before I got here. So it's not I did not do this. But, it took an old Marsh supermarket building that was sitting empty and simply made it into a school facility, which is a very beautiful place. And so one of the neat things about my job is being in this building is on some days when I want to, I can just take a walk down to our preschool. And I'll tell you what, there's never anything wrong with walking around and seeing preschool students just having a great day. And if you ever, I'm one of those, I don't believe in bad days. Sometimes some days may not be as enjoyable as others. So on some of those days that maybe aren't as enjoyable to walk through our preschool, just go down the hall from my office. It is truly something that I'm lucky to be able to do. We also added something in our preschool this year. We have a staff daycare. So we have, right now we have 7 children, ages 1 and 2, that are children of our staff members. And this has been the first year for it. Like I said, it's been a very successful program. We're looking to grow that next year even. But that's been a nice thing that we've added for our staff. And along with that, it's always nice to go in and see the babies, as we say. So a very good feature.
And it's instant joy.
That's right, it is. And yesterday we had a fire drill. And I walked over by the child care students, and it was just nice to see them. So one thing we say here at Shelbyville Central is we can have a child from age 1 to graduation. And so that's something I think is pretty neat and we're proud of. And so that's gone very well. Again, that would not go as well as without our staff. Our staff does an amazing job. One thing that we're really spending a lot of time and effort on is how to continue to make sure we serve our students while we're in an era of declining enrollment and then, of course, declining funding. And as we all know, we could even see more of a decline in our funding. So we really have a lot of items to look at and weigh and examine to make sure we continue to meet the needs of our students. But I really feel like we've done a great job with that.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for that, Matt. And yes, I did greatly enjoy the opportunity to come visit your central office, and it is exactly as you described. What I'd like to do is kind of turn and focus on each of you a little bit. And share with us about your journey as educators and in educational leadership. And Amy, if you don't mind leading us off on this one.
Yeah, I'm in my 21st year of education right now. I taught 10 years. I was an English teacher, and 9 of those 10 years were in Beech Grove, where I was really blessed to have great mentors. I always say I probably would not have become an administrator if it weren't for the people that I was surrounded with there. I had great leaders, and I would give them a shout out. I worked with Steve Cox, was my principal. Randy Clevenger was my assistant principal. And then I also had Paul Kaiser, who was my superintendent. All 3 of them are on the back end of their careers now, either retired or getting ready to retire. But if I hadn't worked with those 3 people, I don't think I would be in the chair that I am today, because each of them in some way tapped me. And that's why I think it's important for us to keep looking for the next generation of leaders. Since then, I have been an administrator for 11 years. I was an assistant principal and associate principal for 8 years between Rushville and New Palestine. And I have been the principal at Shelbyville High School for the last 3 years.
Wonderful. Thank you. How about you, Matt?
Sure. Quite a journey, as you said. I always look back and I think about this. I'm finishing year 30. And I had a little community forum this morning where I was talking about some education items and Shelbyville Central items in particular. And one thing I talked about is how much it's changed in 30 years. And I mean, all of us can say that no matter how long we've been in it, because I always say there's one thing that's constant in education, that's change. And so, of course, we've seen a lot of changes, and that's one thing that I think we have to continue to always look at. So I started out, first off, I was born and raised in nearby Rush County. So, my journey, I haven't gone real far, so to speak, but I graduated Franklin College and started at Greensburg High School, is where I started teaching and coaching at back in the mid 90s, back when teaching jobs were hard to get. But I was a history teacher, coached football and baseball for a couple of years there. Then I went to Greenfield Central High School. I was a teacher coach, and then I eventually was an athletic director and assistant principal. And then I went to Tri-High over in Henry County, not too far from where you are. I was high school principal there. Then went down to Rushville, where I was from, kind of went in a circle, so to speak, and was high school principal there. Then became assistant superintendent, and then I was superintendent for 8 years. I'm now finishing my 3rd year here at Shelbyville Central. I always say this too. One thing about Shelbyville, when I decided to come here, is a special place for me, because back when I was in college, I coached football here during my college years. And, I always kind of look at this as, this is kind of where I always say this is where I got my first paycheck from a school. And, being a college kid is a great opportunity for me. And like I said, back in the 90s, it was hard to get a teaching job, especially in social studies. I was a history teacher. And I always think that my experiences I got here while I was in college really helped me get started and continue to help me. So, like I said, for me, this is a special place to be. And really always appreciative of this district, of this community, and enjoy living here and working here in this capacity as well.
I think that's funny that he talks about his first paycheck coming out of or in the school was coaching. My first paycheck at the school was my old high school. I worked buildings and grounds. The summer I graduated high school at Lowell High School. So, when I talk about different roles that we've all had in a school, I've done a little bit of everything I talk about.
I think that's important in that too. We all started somewhere. I think that's, no matter what, and I think Amy kind of mentioned it too, but I think that I know that I would not be where I am today if it weren't for people along the way. And, you can go, you can trace your school career growing up and then your professional career. And all along, I've been blessed. I've worked for and with great people. And, when you can say that and look back and say, it's been quite a journey up to this point, that I've been so fortunate that I worked for and with great leaders and great coworkers, and it's just really been a joyful experience, and it continues that way. But I think kind of like was said earlier, I do look at it as our role to continue to try to mentor and help those that are coming up as well. And so that's one thing that I spent a lot of time on, leadership development within our district, and then also working with those that are interested in becoming a superintendent and through the IPSS and stuff like that. So I think it's very important for us to continue to do.
Absolutely. Well, and so thank you for sharing that leadership journey. Amy, former English teachers unite, so connection there. But as you think about Shelbyville Central, as you think about Shelbyville High School, we want to definitely give you an opportunity to really brag and share what are you most proud of, and what do you want to celebrate about the work that you and your teams are engaged in your district right now.
I think one of the things we really want to highlight is our graduation rate. Our non-waiver graduation rate is sitting at a 94.78% right now, which is the top in Shelby County. We're right towards the top in our area. When I got here 3 years ago, our non-waiver rate was not where it is today, as well as our regular rate. We went from an 86% to a 97% in 1 year with our wavered rate. We've done a lot of things as far as looking at the systems that we have throughout the building, and that's not just based on kids, but it's adults also. And we've been diligent about the work that we do with the kids and making sure that every kid is met and their needs are met. And it's sitting down and talking with parents and some of those hard conversations about what it looks like to be a Shelbyville High School graduate. Some of the other things that I'm really proud of right now is our work to obtain grants. Lindsay knows we are one of the career counseling grants. We have a career coach in our building right now through the service center. We also obtained this year an IHSAA grant for a new AED in the building to help us meet some of our needs. But one of the biggest grants that we received this past year is through CEL. We are a member of the PCAP cohort. And PCAP is Pathways to Careers and Post-Secondary. So we will be starting with our first cohort next year of incoming freshmen. We are looking at about 25 to 30 students, and we have 27 students right now that have applied for our first cohort, and we'll be starting our interviews next week. And we're starting to look at the data behind those kids because it's a really data-driven program. And for those who don't know what PCAP is, it is looking at those incoming freshmen who are not always successful in a traditional classroom. And every school has them. And we especially do. And we want to look at ways to help them graduate. It's not just about graduating, though. It's about helping them obtain some dual credits as well as a CTE concentrator before they graduate. So we're really excited about the work that we've done. We've taken a team to Winchester, we've taken a team to Logansport and seen the success that they have with their program. And we're hoping to emulate that within our own building. We've talked a lot to our Blue River Career Program Service Center and how we can partner well with PCAP. So there's a lot to be excited about coming through at Shelbyville High School.
One thing Mrs. Dawson mentioned is Blue River Career Programs. That's located right here in Shelbyville. That does include all of our Shelby County districts, but that's one thing that's a very good product for some of our students. And the nice thing is it's right very near our high school campus. And I think they have right around 14 programs that students can choose from. It's a school that, again, very beneficial. And I will say this, I think it's a school that's continuing to improve as well. So, we're very proud of that. And that's a very good avenue for some of our students to go.
Yeah. So can I ask, as you are stepping into PCAP, what do those employer relationships look like? Because I know that's a big part of that program is getting, those folks in your building, getting your students out of the building to see their facilities. How are you building that?
So we've just started working with that. We have partnered with our local ECDC. We've also been reaching out to local employers. We actually have partnered with Ivy Tech as well to try to build those partnerships. One of the things that our cell team through PCAP has talked about is like, you need to start small. Like when we talk to Winchester and Logansport, Winchester has like 100 career partnerships, but we want to make sure to not overwhelm ourselves the first year. You only need really 4 strong partnerships to begin with. We will be having a meeting of our first career partners within the next month or so. And because each quarter, the students will have a project that they have to do where they partner with that career partner. And so we want to make sure that we have everything in place this summer before we leave so that that is built really strongly.
Yeah, awesome. The other thing I like about that model is it allows employers to start small too with their engagement with the school. And it ends up being from what I've seen in Winchester, they get excited about it and are impressed by meeting students. And so that can lead to other things in the future for your older high school students as far as work-based learning, placement, that continued engagement. So I think that's a great way to start.
We when we went to Logansport, we talked to some of the employers directly, and I said, you know, a part of being a leader is it's not me who you're following, but it's that second person who jumps in sometimes. It's not the first follower, it's the second follower. And I said, what made you follow and become a part of the PCAP program? And some of those employers said, because these are our future employees. So we get to help shape them from the time they're freshmen in high school. And so that's one of the things that we've really been talking to the employers of Shelby County about, that you get to put your hands on these kids right away and get to have a little bit of a touch, and also to help recruit and keep them in Shelby County.
I just want to say I commend Mrs. Dawson, her staff for their work on this. It's a big step, obviously, it's taking a lot of time. And I think it's another example of how we're trying to meet different students' needs. Like I said, over the years, it's changed a lot. Education is not what it always has been. And, we have, this avenue now. We have Career Center. We have a large variety of dual credit classes and AP classes. So, we really try to have as a variety of curriculum and in classes for students to be involved in to meet their different needs and help them with whatever that next step may be for them. And so, I'm excited to see things like this come into place. I think it's very beneficial and, really appreciate everyone's work on this.
As a teacher about 10 years ago, I went to a conference and they talked about, as educators, we're all building human capital. And that's something that always stuck in my mind. And I really think PCAP is a program that builds that human capital for Shelby County. So this is something, when we had the opportunity to apply for this grant, I was really excited about.
Yeah, and it's a two-way street, right? It becomes a really
Mhm.
symbiotic relationship because you're benefiting your community, but then those people are speaking into your students, giving them a vision and a hope for their future that they might not have seen before. And then they in turn impact your community. Like it's great. I love the model.
Yes, and well, congratulations on the PCAP launch and all of your work to prepare for that. Kind of sticking with that same theme of highlights. I wondered if either of you would have an example of a recent student success that really highlights the mission and vision of your district and all of this great work that you've been sharing.
We have 2 students that have been awarded full tuition scholarships from Franklin College, and neither one of those students are in the top 10 of their class. I think what's interesting about that is they have both taken a variety of classes. They haven't just overloaded their schedule with all AP classes, but they've taken a balance of dual credit AP. But a part of that scholarship was awarded based on what they had to do in an interview at Franklin College,
Okay.
and what they had to do with teamwork and a variety of activities. And Franklin College representatives told us they were so impressed with our students and the way they worked together with others and the way they presented themselves. And I think it shows the whole student, that we don't just have students who, both of these kids were not just, you know, the top of their class, overwhelmed with classes, but they're a whole person. They're both, one of them was an athlete. One of them is going to run track there. So I think that's what we really looked at.
I think one of the neatest things we get to do at our level is see these kind of events. Students getting full ride scholarships. Earlier in the year, we had a Lilly scholar winner at the high school, which is always a great day. And from my perspective, I'm in all of our buildings quite a bit, and I see a lot of different things our kids do, and a lot of it might not be those that stick out that you talk about all the time, but I mean, there are just so many success stories of kids making progress. And there it is. And our we had a preschool student that actually walked down to our office and was counting and reading numbers. And it's just it starts there, and you think about those kind of stories that goes up to students, at the high school winning the Lilly and a full ride scholarship. I mean, just so many things on a daily basis, whether it's athletics, clubs, academics, classroom progress. It's really exciting to see.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would like to share with us about your middle grades? We got to hear a little bit about your very youngest learners, and then a lot of great stuff going at your high school. What would you tell people about the elementary and middle school experience at Shelbyville?
One thing in terms of our middle school, I'll kind of cover is, for one, last month I attended they did a musical, and it was outstanding. And it was, it's one of those things where I think when you go see middle school students that can put on a play or a musical, and, the one thing I was amazed of was just how many lines they memorized and how good it flowed. So our staff did a great job with it. Our students did a great job. One thing we have at our middle school level is they have a black box theater, and probably one of the few middle schools to have that. But that was done in our last project that just finished up, as a matter of fact, early this school year. And so we've really, we're really proud of our facility we have, but at the same time, just the fact that we have a very good program at that level where we can do plays and musicals, and the staff to do that and the students to do that. Along with the middle school, we'll be starting here the next few months a renovation project. Our middle school was constructed in 1990 and really hasn't had updates and, upgrades that it needs. So at 35 years old now, it's time that we do some of those things. So, we're looking at lighting, we're looking at ceilings, we're looking at walls, plumbing fixtures, all kinds of things. It's going to be pretty much, for the most part, complete renovation. There'll be some things not done, but definitely be a big overhaul for that building. It's going to take probably in the range of 18 months, but we know sometimes that can take longer depending on supplies and all kinds of things, weather and so forth. So in the next few months, we'll be starting that project. It's going to be very intense, and it will, at times we'll be relocating some classrooms and a lot of different things our students and staff have to deal with. But again, it's one of those things I think the end product will be worth it, and we're really looking forward to that. Along with that part, the whole project will also be renovating the high school locker rooms, which are due for an upgrade. And we'll be reorganizing an area, which is our old weight room area, into athletic offices and a locker room and some meeting space. So, one thing that's kind of exciting for Shelbyville Central Schools, we just finished a renovation project with 2 elementaries and some work on our middle school. And now we're going to start another project that will include our middle school and high school. But the bottom line is we're doing upgrades that need to be done. Some of our upgrades will be cost savings in the long run because we're looking at LED lighting and some other updates that will be more cost efficient. And, we really are trying to take steps to maintain what we have the best we possibly can, and at the same time, put our students and staff in the best possible opportunities. So, we're looking forward to it. It's a lot of work. It's very detailed, but and we know that the end result will be well worth it.
Absolutely. Well, Amy and Matt, before we get to our final question, I wanted to just it's been great to hear all of these updates from Shelbyville. Is there anything we didn't get a chance to ask that you really wanted to highlight, or were hoping to have the opportunity to speak about when you think about your students and when you think about the staff, your staff as well?
I'll just say this as we're back from spring break now. We're in the last 9 weeks of the school year, which, as we talk all the time, it's hard to believe just how quick time goes. And this school year is flying by, but, we'll be in April here in a week. And, we know that the end of the school year is exciting. There's a lot going on, very busy, but a great time of year. And just up to this point, it's been a very good year. I appreciate everyone's support and cooperation with our staff and our students, our whole school community. So, it's a busy couple months ahead of us, but it's exciting. It's fun. And just really appreciate everyone that takes part in what we do here at Shelbyville Central.
Awesome.
Mrs. Dawson, if you want to add anything or.
I was just going to say, I think in terms of Shelbyville High School, I think the thing to keep in mind always is there's something for everybody. Our staff does a great job of keeping things up to date for kids. We offer all of the possible IHSAA sports. We added boys volleyball. We added girls wrestling. We also have clubs of all kinds. We have a tabletop club, which is board games. We have a crochet club. We have time for all these clubs to meet during the school day as well. That I think as a student, there's something to get involved with for everybody. And that's one of the big things when we just had our 8th grade night a couple weeks ago that I encourage all those kids right away, get involved because that's how you'll find your place. Our band is amazing. Our choir is amazing. And as he talked about, we have a pipeline for the theater right at the middle school. So I just think our school does a great job of finding something for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that sense of belonging is so important. And I appreciate you calling that out. As we wrap up, we're going to end as we always do on Forge Your Future and ask each of you, what are you recommending right now? Tell us something that you'd be excited to share with your friends. It could be personal or professional. What do you want to share?
Ms. Dawson, are you ready? If not, I'll go ahead and go. But if you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm always ready. So I have 2 things. I drive a lot because I have 2 kids. And so I'm always in the car running them around as well as driving back and forth to work. So I'm a big podcast and audiobook listener. And I just finished Cher Part 1, her autobiography. And it is a great listen. She reads part of it herself, and there are parts where she cuts out and lets somebody else do the reading for her. But Cher, her life is so interesting. It's cut into 2 parts. Who knew, right? So it's 16 hours, 2 parts. But it has been a great read. And then for all educational leaders, I am going to give a plug for the IASP podcast. I think they do a great job of keeping us all up to date. I listened to it this morning, and they had an ESPN anchor on this morning. So they do a great job. So their weekly updates with what's going on in the legislation, as well as their leadership podcast. So I think those are my 2 plugs and recommendations.
Great recommendation, Amy. I also will second that IAFP recommendation. So yes, kudos to our great partners at IASP. Because they really do a great job of supporting principals around the state and bringing those really high quality podcasts and updates as well. So yes, indeed, great recommendation. Matt, how about for you?
I'm always reading something. I believe that's what we have to do as leaders, is continue to grow and continue to look for ways to improve. And I like reading a lot of leadership books. I've read a lot of John Maxwell's work. And so last week when I was on spring break in Florida, he had what's called a Day to Grow. It's the Maxwell Leadership Day to Grow program. And so I went to it on Wednesday, and it was a full day of leadership discussion and speakers. And my oldest son went with me, and he's at Disney doing an internship. So today, we have a corporation administrators meeting. I'm going to break down some of what I learned that day and heard and so forth. But I just think, I'm a big fan of positive leadership. And I think we always have to be looking for ways as we serve our students and our staff and our school community to grow and improve. And so a Day to Grow was a great thing to attend for us. Just very powerful in a long day, or, long day in terms of time, but went very quick because it's so beneficial and such good information. So I think that a good recommendation is, as leaders and those that may want to get into leadership, is just continue to read and learn and listen and look for ways to improve and grow. And I just think it's extremely important.
Excellent. I love that you were able to do that with your son as well, and have that experience together. So a Day to Grow. We will we will look out for those opportunities. Thank you so much. And Matt and Amy, thank you for taking time to share with us about Shelbyville Central, about your work with students and your district. And I think one of the things that really resonates with me is that there's something for everyone in Shelbyville Central schools. And we applaud you and are grateful to partner with you in providing those experiences to the students and adults that you serve. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate what you're doing at the service center. A lot of different ways you're helping our districts, and that's very important for us. So thank you for all you're doing, and appreciate the podcast as well, and appreciate the opportunity to be here.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to the Forge Your Future podcast. And thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Forge Your Future podcast. We hope that this glimpse into the bright future of East Central Indiana inspires you and brings you hope.
We have the privilege to work with these future makers every day and want to share their stories throughout Indiana and beyond.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share it with your circle, and let's keep the conversation going.
You can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and on our website.
Until next time, remember that your strengths and interests are a blueprint to your future of success and impact.